Guy. Now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Awareness Hour. My name is Norman Wasserman, sometimes called the Music Man, sometimes called the Awareness Guy, and sometimes I'm called a few other things too. But we won't. We have ladies here this evening, and we're not going to go down that path. But we're going to start off with the lovely Linda, Lisa. Lisa.
That's 2 weeks in a row,
It's 2 weeks.
Norman.
It's
Two
great.
weeks in a row.
It's
I'm
just
gonna
like
get you now.
it's just like I keep on calling it the Power Hour instead of the Awareness Hour.
Yeah,
I
and I
got
see I'm out of that little verbiage.
everybody's out of it but me. I'm
Yeah.
not even in it. But anyway, how are you? What's going on with you?
Well, I'm back in town and I'm keeping busy as usual.
What does busy mean for you?
Just got home on Sunday from Virginia and North Carolina
And
with
well,
baby showers.
baby showers. Baby
Yes, two of them.
showers. We had more than
Yes,
one.
showers. We had more than one. North Carolina, we had my daughters. Virginia, we had my daughter-in-laws. So we've been busy.
And what are we doing with your sons? Anything?
Well, he got to go to the shower too, on the other side of the door, waiting to collect his bride.
All right,
Yep.
well, it sounds like fun. We have a very special guest this evening, and
Yes, we do.
she's a PhD, and we don't have many
Ah,
PhDs on this particular program, but she's in the insurance world, and we're going to introduce Jackie Vernier. Am I pronouncing it right? Vernier? Vernier.
Fergnay, close enough.
Close enough. I was trying to put in some of my Bronx accent, but it
Uh,
it didn't work. Anyway, welcome, Jackie. Welcome to
Thank
the
you so
Business
much. Great to
Awareness
be
Hour.
here.
All right, tell us a little bit about what Vernier Advisory does.
So, Fergnay Advisory was a company that I had formed. It's an LLC. I formed it in 2016, and this was me joining that right after I had lost my position in the insurance industry as a corporate exec at Chubb Insurance. So there was a merger. And after that, I've decided to just, go head into it and try to make it on my own and see where it took me. So it's been a lot of fun and lots of learning along the way, being a new entrepreneur. But have certainly really enjoyed it.
Most of
that's
your
wonderful.
most of your insurance life though has been producing, correct?
No, it's actually been a corporate exec. The recently, the past couple of years, I have been asked to be a producer in the sales arena, which is a little bit of a different role from the corporate side of the house. But because of my connections, I should probably backtrack a little bit. So when you work for Chubb Insurance and you work for Fireman's Fund and some of these other companies, I've written insurance to 20% of the wealthiest people in the world, including the Rockefellers and Trump and all your politicians and many of your celebrities. So because I had that type of accessibility and I had that type of outreach and that type of Rolodex, I think a lot of people had known that. So I was just someone that they wanted to kind of bring into the company. But I prefer really just doing more of a contract and sort of a one-off versus really just being in that sales arena of producing business for somebody, which I no longer do. I'm totally focused solely on Vergnay Advisory these days.
But
Very
prob
nice. Now, how did you get started in insurance and then into your own business?
Um, so I was like a work student type program thing. I think I was 17 years
Oh,
old when my first job was State Farm Insurance. So I lived
ah,
in Wayne and the building was in Wayne. It was a couple miles away. And
nice.
I don't know, I just kind of fell into it. I think what I've loved about insurance and still do to this day is it's a job where you always have to kind of stay on your toes because when you're dealing globally or even in the US, wherever you are, there's state regulations, there's rules in every state. So it always kind of keeps you abreast upon all these other things. There's pricing, there's catastrophes, there's reinsurance, there's like it's very interesting. I mean, it's not like you're going to read a contract and get, super excited over it. You're probably going to fall asleep. But when you do large risks for people, especially, people that are ultra rich, and you're looking at $800 million cars and $80 million rings, and you're seeing things that you've never would have seen otherwise. There's a lot of excitement in it, just to kind of see how other people live, and kind of where this is coming from. So I stayed in the industry really throughout my whole life. But I've definitely enjoyed it for sure.
And I know in my business, there's a new story every day about a different situation. So everything is fresh. It must be the same for you.
Definitely. Definitely.
Is
There's
It,
always
it's
PNC
something
fresh and
new.
it's exciting, and there's always something new. And I think the most important thing that I always say is, you learn something every day, and you got to keep an open mind. And again, your brain is a muscle, and you want to kind of take in and absorb and listen. And everybody's going through all different things. So I think a lot of just having that very strong background in the insurance industry, as well as doing funding and helping raise money, helping people pursue their dreams. It is really exciting, and they kind of play roles in a lot of different ways, from when it comes to a risk factor, or just taking another look, underwriting, pre-underwriting. It's all of those things. There's a lot of similarities in that sense. And then it's finances and money, and so it's
Right.
everything that kind of falls into play. So actually the role worked out very well for me.
How does
Very
the
good.
the property and unless I misunderstood, you're primarily PNC insurance, correct?
Yes, only PNC. So I'm a still licensed property and casualty. So it's commercial, and it's personal lines. So commercial would be your businesses, hotels. It's really anything that's not personal. Personal would be your home, your auto, your umbrella,
So
some of the personal item.
how do people achieve their dreams with with property and casualty insurance? How do you make that happen? I want to buy some. That's right,
Yeah,
I've
so
already bought some.
it's an exam. I mean, you do have to take an exam. They do take blood. I mean, you do get fingerprinted. So, therefore, and the thing is, it's all about errors and omissions too. So when you're giving advice and you're consulting with people, you can't mess up. I mean, you have to take your job very seriously, especially when you're dealing with very large stuff. So everything that you do say has to still kind of stay within the confines of the contracts. And every contract's different with every company. So you really have to be careful, because it's called errors and omissions. So you have to be very,
Mhm.
very careful when it comes to that. So you're going to be diligent. But it's PNC is interesting. I mean, I've never, done the L&H, and usually people tend to stay sort of in their lane or within their own vertical. And I certainly know enough about it, but I just never got my license in those areas. I think PNC was very interesting enough for me,
Mhm.
not the L&H side of the house. And every company that I work for did not do life and health. Usually you have your own companies that stay solely focused within those specialties, which is really better for everybody, because it's complex, and there's a lot of complexities with insurance that you can't afford to mess up on.
You can see how you must operate your insurance business. When I say that, I'm regarding the podcast profile that you filled out for Lisa and I. It is
Mhm.
so thorough, but over thorough. And
Yes.
you're laughing, but there are many times that we have people come, and we actually tell them from the beginning of the show, you really don't have enough information over here to go and last the hour. What I'm looking at over here, just in the next section alone, we can
That will fill
probably
the
go
show.
3 hours and 27 minutes and
Yeah.
still not touch anything. So let's start off with the second question of the night, which is
Mhm.
you're going to have a lot to talk about. It's why are you in the profession that you're in? And one of the reasons you put down is passion for helping others. Now, I know you on a personal basis, business basis, and so on. And that is you. But
Mhm.
tell everybody all
Yeah.
about you.
So it's really important. I think for me, when I get a client, and I think, and I play a lot of this again within my corporate days. When you're in the corporate world, you get an enormous amount of training, especially when you're working with these niche markets of the ultra rich, and people of those profiles, because they pay a very hefty premium, but you have to service them, and you have to service them very well. So for me, it was really important to continue to maintain that, because oftentimes people get a bad rap and they get a bad reputation. You hear the word insurance and everybody wants to like, dig a grave.
Go the
Or,
other way.
you talk about funding and, they talk about these horrible brokers and they just steal your money and run away. But I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be one of those people that truly care and help, because I do. And it's very important to tell people that, what, like, you don't have enough. Or, like some people will come in with a pipe dream. We all have dreams. And I say, always pursue your dreams. But, you still have to have some skin in the game. You still have to have some level of risk, because no one in their right mind that doesn't know you from Adam is just going to fork over millions of dollars to you if you have no skin in the game. So, and Lisa can relate to this because Lisa and I work we
Yep.
do a lot of stuff together, actually.
Yes.
But I think that, those are just some of the elements, just at a very high level, when it comes to, you have to always be honest with the customer, whether they want to hear it or not. I think it's important. And for me, you do want people to pursue their dreams. So I play more on the equity side because it was based on my Rolodex. And I do tend to farm out a lot of my debt and everything else with actually Lisa. So
Yeah.
so I do really like it because it's a lot of fun, and my job is to be the cheerleader for them and to really help them speak with the investors, because it's like an interview and I want to prepare them. So I'm redoing decks and I'm doing financials and I consult with them until they're fully funded, and I stay with them until the very end. And I want to become their friends, because you're talking to somebody every week, every other week. You get to know everything about them, especially when you're working with them for several months. So it's fun, and there's nothing greater or more satisfying than helping somebody pursue their dream, because they put their life into it. And any entrepreneur can tell you that it's long hours, it's extended hours, it's weekends. I mean, and we all know that pain that you have to go through. And oftentimes when someone's building a business initially for the first time, they still have another job just to pay the bills and keep the lights on.
Right.
And then they'll hire staff and a team, but they have no money to give them. So they'll give them a little bit of equity. And then in 2 years, everything's done and over, and they hate each other and they're in lawsuits and God knows what else.
Yeah. The exit
So-
plan, it has to get
Oh, yeah.
initiated if it was ever put in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So starting someone early on is definitely good, and especially for a startup. So startups are high risk. No one likes them. I love them. I mean, that's really my area that
Well,
I
then this
play
next
well in.
then this next question works in really well. Commitment to risk management.
Yeah. Yes. Everything in life is a risk. I mean, you can't ever say, I never tell anybody I can do this for them. All I can say is I'm going to put my best foot forward. But I don't close deals. I'll bring things to you, but when especially when you're doing an equity play, I can bring investors to them, but that conversation's between the client and them. I'm not involved with that conversation, and I don't play, in that field. So that's really up to them, but that's what I really prepare them for. So there's always a risk, yes, but they also have to play their part in it as well.
As you know, I need liability insurance for the concerts that I do. So when I first met you, I said, "This seems like a nice lady. Let me maybe get a quote out of her, and see where it goes from there." Well, you knocked me on the floor, because it was more in the quote than that I ever had before. I didn't need it, but it was there, and it didn't cost any more money. It was there. If anything, it was less money than what I was normally paying for, and the amount of shows that I can insure with this one policy is astronomical. So it was, and that was our first time dancing, and that was great. So you could lead now every time we go dancing. You
Thank you.
Just take the lead.
So-
I think, yeah. The
Go
only
ahead.
thing I was going to add to that is that's the difference between a good broker and someone that just wants your money. So my idea was to help save you money, and by putting it on a bot versus doing one thing individually, because you're going to pay a lot of money versus an endless amount of something when you're doing an annual policy. But sometimes brokers just want that commission. So, there's selfishness in this world. So you just always have to be careful.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that we had a chance and an opportunity to do that for you.
Well, you knocked it right out of the park.
Thank
Knocked it
you.
right out of the park.
So so that you can knock it out of the park for everyone else, how is the best way for folks to reach you?
The best way, I mean, I have my information also on my
Signature?
little, yeah,
Yeah.
right there. But I would say, definitely my phone number. And I'm more than happy to provide that as well, and an email address or WhatsApp. I mean, I always say I keep my same mobile number the same as WhatsApp because I am global. And my phone number is 201-317-1228.
Great. Okay. And off to the rest of these questions. You've done so much and provided so much information. Let me get to
Long-term
what.
dedication.
Oh, yes, you have long-term dedication. You've been at this for a little bit, it sounds
Yeah.
like. Having your doctorate. Now, did you pursue your doctorate after you were working? Because you mentioned you were 17 when you got involved in the industry. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
So it was a work program. So you get to kind of leave a few hours early, just kind of play around and see what it's like to be on the business side, which I think is really important when you are in school, because those are some of the things that, from again, a business perspective, you can't teach, school can't teach you everything. They can't teach you live experiences.
Nope.
Even
That's
getting
true.
a PNC license, you can get a PNC license, go through all the exams or really anything. But you have to have experience and age and wisdom. I mean, there's just so many other elements that come into play with it. So it was really a work program that the school provided. And then, but I did always work, and I went to school at night, and I did a lot of things online. So yes, it was years and years of commitment. But to me, I guess my personality type is clearly very driven. But I like to be the best in the industry. Not that I'm competing with others, but it's more of a competition with myself
Mhm.
to have the ability to have lots of designations in a sense that people know when they do speak to me, they're not just getting anyone that just took their PNC exam. I've gone through years and years of schooling to be an expert and specialize in some different types of risk.
Very good. So, what is an interesting story that you'd like to share with the audience and us?
Um, okay. I mean, there's always so many stories, but I would say probably I think when I left Chubb Insurance, it was a little bit of a shock. I thought I was going to spend my entire career there, but they always say things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I don't know. I think I had a few tears in my eyes, like on my way home, but I know like HR was crying, everybody was crying. They let go like 3,000 people. So it
Oh,
was a big, let
mhm.
go. And I kind of had a feeling, but where I always felt like it felt really good is they hired about, when ACE came into the picture, they took 20 of us, but I always felt like they took 20 of the best so that they can learn and we can transition them. So they worked us like crazy, insane hours, and then all 20 of us were let go. What a surprise, right?
Really?
But
Now, what was the point in
but
that?
when I did leave, I immediately felt that this is the best thing that could ever happen to me because now I'm on a new journey. I wasn't someone that was sort of born into Chubb where a lot of people were because it truly is the most amazing company out there. Most people that went there would never leave. But because I didn't start from Chubb, I was only there for 11 years. I came later. So to me, it was much easier, but there were people there that didn't even have resumes. So I would say right after I left that, and started to become an entrepreneur, probably I've learned more being an entrepreneur than I've ever learned in all the years in school and all the years in the corporate world. While it shapes you, I would say it's probably the hardest job because you want to believe that people are nice, kind, there's no greed, there's no narcissist, there's like amazing people out there. Because insurance, believe it or
Yeah.
not, is a very nice industry, but not funding in other parts and other areas. There's just so much. But you know what? You got to rise above that, and you just got
Right.
to. So you get better and better at your feelers and your red flags, and just sort of move
Yeah.
on. And I think that's the most important thing: is always be the better person, always lead by example, and just continue to move on, and just kick it out of the park.
Exactly. Exactly.
Empowering dreams.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
how you were with Chubb for 11 years,
Mhm.
and when did your separation happen?
In 2016.
2016. So you've
Yeah.
been out of there for 8 years now.
For 8 years now. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
One thing that you do that's outstanding, and it's not just my opinion, it's from mutual people that we each know, and that happens to you building trust and relationships.
Hmm.
But in any,
Oh, yeah.
Lisa's done the same thing. I know I've done the same thing. You don't do additional. You get one and done if you don't build that relationship,
Hmm.
Oh,
and you'll be lucky if you
Agreed.
get that one done.
Yeah, I always say it's really important to when you are an entrepreneur and you're going to an office, it's really important to always sort of be at your best. Just you got to give somebody your attention, and you got to let people know that you're listening to them. It's important. I never do business without a face. I don't do business with faceless people. There's just certain rules that I do have because I think you can read a lot from a person, but I do give somebody my undivided attention. I want to learn about them and learn about who they are. And sometimes I even just get this odd feeling that I don't even like them and I don't want to do business with them. And
you don't want to
you know,
have to fire
That
them
does
later,
happen.
right?
and
They,
I think that's okay. I think sometimes we do have to follow our gut instinct. Like if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't, and you just move on. And there's been things that people have presented to me that probably seemed like a pretty good deal, but I don't know if I really wanted to
you
deal with
want to
this
work
person for
with
the next
people.
6 months.
You want to work with
So
people
I
you
let it
like.
go. Yes, I work with people that I like and trust.
There's no other
Oh,
reason to go and do it any other way.
Exactly. I
No.
agree. There's many other people that are out there that will put up with that, but I think it's really important to set your boundaries and expect that level of respect, because if you don't like someone, don't disrespect them. Like just always be respectful to everybody and just sort of
yep.
part ways if it doesn't work. And I think
Right.
that's a standard that most people, well, I wish most people had, but you can't take anything personally. It's not personal when someone doesn't treat you that way, but it's also not something that I want to really associate with. So,
And don't need to
Right.
associate with. There is plenty of fish in the sea.
exactly.
Plenty of fish in the
Definitely.
sea.
Now, you mentioned that you're in New Jersey, but you are working with folks around the globe.
Mhm.
Where do you provide your services?
My services are here in New Jersey. It's so my office is right here, in my home. Um, I am global, so I work very long hours because I have to be available for people all around the world. So I have partners and relationships literally in every country. So I am up very early in the morning, go to bed very late at night, but my hours of operation are literally from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So usually I'm not even off the phone until 10 p.m. And then I shut my phone off to work and to finish, and I'll work in between these calls. But I have to keep those long hours because I am all over the world.
That is phenomenal.
Give
And I
us
only do that Monday through Friday. So I do decompress on weekends.
give us an
Nice.
example of something that you do in some foreign country, and for maybe some major entrepreneur type thing or major business.
Yes, of course. I mean, some of the things that I do outsource to other countries for certain things, for some designs and some API integrations when I'm doing when I'm doing funding through my equity platform. And I do work with India. So I work with 5 individuals there. I've known them for 8 years. I love India. It's a company. I've been working with India for probably the last 20 years, and I've outsourced all kinds of stuff, like through my insurance career and then through my funding career, more for designs. Some of the API integrations, they're also very high tech. So I do speak with India. Oh my God, probably 3, 4 times a week. And
Do
they're
you
10
speak
hours
the
ahead of
language?
us.
Do you speak the language at all?
No, they have about 40 different dialects, but
Right.
they all speak English.
Yeah, English is now their primary language. I think
Yeah.
their country has more English speakers than ours because of the population.
But I think
Hmm.
It's
Ann
crazy.
Malky, and the speech lady in the Energy
Yes.
Group, that
Yep.
should be one of her biggest clients.
Oh, yes. India and the Philippines. But the Philippines
Hmm.
do pretty good with their English, the
Hmm.
Filipinos. Yeah.
Most everybody I speak to, I only speak English, but they all the countries that I work with, And I'm all over the place. Like sometimes in a week, I'm like, I'm in Iran and Pakistan and I'm in Dubai and I'm in, like I'm all over the place. Like it's sometimes even hard to remember.
Have you been to
But there,
Dubai?
I haven't been there, but it's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah,
I've been to Mumbai and I've been down to Goa. They're both very
Oh,
interesting
wow.
areas of India. But
Mm,
there's a little French section on the east side that we want to go over to.
hmm
Yep.
you better let me know in advance.
Yes, sir. Uh, so do you have any fundraisers or events coming up in the future, in the short-term future?
Um, I love the ability of being able to get back when I can. And I think we all probably have our hearts on certain things and, just probably based on our past history and so forth. For me, I have a tendency to love veterans and military people just because I was married to, I mean, he did pass away, but he was in the military. He was a JAG officer that did die in 2015. But I've done quite a bit of fundraising for different veterans and still, that's definitely my heart. But there's a lot of interesting things. Nonprofits have always been my favorite just in the insurance industry. But again, it's the element that kind of comes with it. It's whether you're working with homeless people or, people that just are at such a disadvantage and you want to be able to help them. So I'm always looking and active and trying to find different things. But when it comes to raising things, I'm have quite a few different customers and they're like literally all over from, helping a farmer to, going green or doing solar or, oil or entertainment. So there's a lot of different segments that I am in, which also makes this business very interesting because when you take a deep dive, you get to learn quite a bit about business and the different types of business industries when you're reading everything.
Right.
And again, I'll tell it to everybody. You've been very helpful to me in the not-for-profit world and doing fundraisers with referrals and such. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Definitely good stuff that you're providing out there. And I'm sorry for your loss of your husband. I too
Oh,
am
thank
married
you.
to a
Yeah.
military man. I have a Marine.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yep.
Yeah, a
So,
lot of them are underserved. And while he was an attorney, he really wasn't out in the war. He still got to see all that, which did have a major impact. When you're doing trust in the States and you're seeing people going off and then they come back and they have no legs and arms, it's like it's devastating.
oh,
And it does affect you over time.
that's for sure.
How
That's
can
for
it
sure.
not? How can it
Mhm.
Yeah.
not?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yes.
You have another story that I'm reading here, which is about 3 pages. Something
Really,
that you have done.
I probably don't even remember what I wrote. It was a
Oh, well,
while
let me
ago, so I'm
refresh
just
you. Let me
winging it.
refresh your memory. The Entrepreneurial Journey, A Tale of Transformation.
Ah, yes.
Which one of the novels is this?
Oh,
Of your early career
Is
versus
question number 3.
yeah.
on page 2.
Yeah, kind of reading it a little bit.
Eh,
I mean,
ref-
there's always so many different stories,
But
but like I
stories
think
work very well on this show.
um well, I kind of talked about the whole entrepreneurial journey that, it's definitely a very difficult road. I mean, there's a lot of dedication that kind of comes with it. And I don't even really remember what I did wrote, but I'm sure it had some elements of insurance risk
I'm
and
sure.
probably Bergnay Advisory. And oh, yeah, here it is about reshaping business plans of financials and pitch decks.
Hmm.
But to
Yep.
me, again, it's making it that transformation journey is really about helping others pursue their own dreams. Which I mentioned earlier.
Right.
There's no greater feeling. Someone works so hard, so diligently, endless hours, sometimes you wonder how you're going to get through the day, but we learn from our mistakes, and I hate to call them mistakes. We learn through some of the things that we've done, but we're not starting from scratch. We're now making an improvement, and I think you just have to persevere. You can't let things like that get you down, because you're only going to get better and better at it. And every entrepreneur goes through the same thing, and every successful person in this world goes through the same thing. They're going to doubt themselves at times. They're not going to believe in things, but that's a normal human element.
Do you have a favorite client? Someone that you've been with for a long time? I'm not putting you on the spot for you to mention any name, but
I'd like to say they're all my favorite.
so go ahead and say that. That's fine.
Yeah, I think, what, I think I try to relate to people. Sometimes it's harder to get that relationship going initially. You got your introverts and your extroverts. Some will tell you everything about their whole life story in one call, but they all have a story. And one of the things that I do always ask is, when I do know that someone initially starts a business, I always like to know why they started that business and how they kind of got into that. And I had a few calls today that again was just very interesting. And it's always interesting, especially when you see someone. I'm always kind of inspired by the younger prodigy entrepreneurial type kids, because, and I hate to call them kids, but they are kids. But they're brilliant, and they have these amazing ideas. But sometimes, again, it's like I said, it's the age and the wisdom, and you learn these things as you get older. But he did go to medical school, not completed it, but he's 22 years old, and he was coming up with a gadget, people that are in a wheelchair, and this is a way that you can control a piece that's around your head, like it had an AI element to it. And I didn't quite get to see what he put together, but the way he was explaining it, but it basically can function in the sense that you can move around the whole house just with this piece around your head. And I'm like, God, 22 years old, and you want to help all these people that are in a wheelchair. So of course, where did this come from and why? So you almost want to kind of get into their heads. And I think, to me, that's the connection that you have to make with people. And then when they explain their story, you feel really good about it, because then they open up. It shows your interest.
If you can wind up helping them in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, of course, sure enough, his mother's in a wheelchair. So.
That's what motivated him.
And it's ALS, so it's a very deadly disease, and
Definitely.
he sees the pain and what they're going through, and he wants to make sure that he can, find a way to make sure that she has a life, that just makes it maybe less painful, for him and her, and for all those other people that he can help along the way.
Right. And I see your personality and your drive for your business. So when you're taking these people in and bringing them in as your clients, I can see how it would be your drive to bring them the success that they need to flourish in their business.
And what we're going to need to do is to take a break so we can pay a couple of bills. So we're going to take a short little 2-minute break, and we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned.
My name is Lisa Rodino. I am a commercial loan advisor and broker. Have you been finding that your business's cash flow is not where you need it to be? Have you found yourself taking from your personal accounts to meet your business's obligations? Have you found that those quick solutions of quick money are starting to get awfully expensive? My job is to find the right funding products for my clients so they can get back to working in their business and give me the task of finding the best options for their situation. Give us a call today to learn more. 516-268-0350.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Business Awareness Hour with our special guest, Dr. Dr. Jackie Vernier. Not a real doctor, but just business doctor, not a medical doctor. Right? Yes,
Correct.
could
Yeah.
be. Okay, stay with me. All right. We're going to jump now into your website. This has become a very interesting segment to the show. People seem to really enjoy this, and the viewers really like it because they get to find out a little bit more than just the conversation that we just had. And then we got a whole bunch of other stuff to deal with, and I don't know how we're going to get it all in, but we're going to try the very best. So we're going to turn this over now to Lisa.
Sure. So I'm on your main page and I see your Vernier agent advisory, and I see you're dedicated, reliable, and you have strong experts. And I see your mission. Tell us about your mission.
I don't remember what my mission was when I put it
Oh.
on there, because it's been a while, but probably something along those servicing lines, or
And your
helping people
clients. Yep.
and clients and
Yeah.
so forth. But yeah, it's the website, while it does need a refresh, it does talk about basically who I am from being in the insurance industry for a very long time, and what clients have said about me, along with the whole equity piece and some of the different services that I do provide.
Nice. And you have the testimonials at the bottom, and
Yeah.
a little bit about yourself with, who you are and where you provide your services, which is
Mhm.
great. I love it. Now, do you go on site with clients, or do you do virtual meetings with them, or how do you engage with your clients these days?
So most of it could be a combination of both. If somebody wants to meet, I'm so happy to meet them. I think the face-to-faces are still very powerful these days.
Mm-hmm.
I would say really since COVID, though, more and more people just are loving in the comfort of wherever with less travel. So it's really a combination. But again, being global, these are things that I need to know in advance, because my calendar fills up rapidly and literally sometimes by the minute. So I also use a lead gen on my LinkedIn account. So it's between that, referrals, different networking groups and things like that. So I do stay very busy. And so the reason why I need advanced notification is obviously because, some of these people have booked something maybe 2 or 3 weeks out and they're in different countries. So we're dealing with a huge time difference, especially because I did mention India is one of my partners that I do use, and that is a 10-hour time difference right there.
Wow. Yes. So do you have other staff that you're working with under you that are offering the insurance offerings that you bring?
Not insurance. So because you have to be licensed, and I am licensed. So what I do is I do it more on the consulting side, because I'm not working for an agency and I'm not doing sales or any of that stuff. And I left the corporate world and loved working there, but had no intentions of ever going back. But right now it's I'm actually working with an insurance company right now through a fundraiser. But of course, they love the idea that it's an insure tech type piece that they're really trying to get out. But the relation obviously was the background of my insurance. So I do consulting for different companies still within the insurance arena, but it could be anything from financing to operations to building workflows and underwriting platforms and different things like that.
Very nice. And I also see that you have investor access and doc creation and M&A and one-stop servicing for everyone. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
I'm
And your
busy.
traction, yes, with pitches and networking and engagements and fundraising and deal size
Yeah.
for under your services and what you're bringing to the table for everyone. So
Mhm.
You don't leave any stone unturned.
No, and the other thing I do is really even with the investors that I do bring in, they're accredited, and I work with the CPA as well, just to make sure that they are who they are, they say who they are, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. Because again, that's another element of credibility that I like to add to what I do.
Exactly. Very good. And so data-driven solutions for fund managers. Tell us about that case study.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'm trying to, I should probably just go on there and see what it's
Well,
like. 'Cause
case
some of these
study.
things may be
Yeah.
older. So let me take a look
Yeah.
at some of the case studies.
Yeah.
Okay, these are data-driven solutions. Those are for the fund managers. There's a lot of different things. The reason why I threw a lot of these case studies out there is really just to let people know. Some people just think that I'm insurance. So yes, I still have my PNC license. But when it comes to funding, I'm industry agnostic. So to me, it's important to let them know that the industries are agnostic. Like it really doesn't matter what type of business it is, or if it's real estate. I actually probably do more businesses than I do anything else. Real estate is probably an area where I'm not as well versed, but I'm much more well versed on the business side. So I've raised everything from a lot of probably the majority of them are tech and healthcare, because they're two things that will never go away, especially with the rise of
Right.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
In healthcare, of course, everybody's always going to get sick, and there's always going to be
Yes.
different things in different cases. So
Right.
each one has been a little bit different. Some things I've enjoyed a little bit more than others, only because, for instance, maybe I'll say, maybe some of the Bitcoin and different things like that. It's probably not something I've ever felt completely comfortable in, but it's really interesting when you get to the nitty-gritties and you take deep dives into some of these things.
I know it.
Crypto and
Yep.
and stuff like that. It's like,
And,
oh wow,
and
I
the
really don't know a
quality.
whole lot about it.
Yep. And the quality of the crypto coin and what level it's at and who's after it. I've
Yes,
been down that path.
yes,
Yes, we brought in the investors for that path.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
it's always very interesting, and
yes,
which I've always enjoyed. Like to me, getting any type of business model is always there's one is very different from the next.
right. And seeing who it's backed behind. Is it
Mhm.
oil? Is it gold? Where's it coming from? Yep, definitely. And I see how, the healthcare and the dating apps and things like
Yeah.
that.
You'd be surprised what comes across your desk.
Yeah,
There's some very interesting things. There's even someone that came up, and again, he's a PhD, and it's called Dreamagos, and he has this whole study on it. And I'm like, honestly, I've got the contract out, which has been signed. I haven't moved forward with it, but I mean, it's going to be really fascinating to even learn about that. Like everything that we do, and again, this is him studying as a PhD. Every dream that we have, there's some element of the way that it reaches out to somebody. So that one, I honestly can't wait to get my hands. I mean, I have the contract; it's been signed. I'm just waiting on a few more things, but some things are just so interesting. What you have the ability to learn with. So each one, it's like my job is fun. Like there's a lot of passion that goes into each one of
oh
these because you
yes,
get to learn so much.
yeah, very interesting. So let's take another. What else do you? Oh, the fintech company closes 3.8 million.
Yeah, what
for
is the fintech company? I have never heard of that.
fintech? It's in finance.
Oh, that one I could figure, but
Yep.
what do they do?
So I guess I can. So Intertech FinTech, the easiest way to explain it is Intertech is insurance and technology, FinTech finances and technology. So it really could be anything. So when you think of FinTech, it could be anything from an app of some sort of anything to do with money, right? Finances, and it could be anything, whether it's banking, whether it's that's in essence what FinTech. And Intertech is insurance and tech, but
Right.
it could be all different.
It could be the app on the phone to pay your bills at a website. It could be, the protection of your ATM card when you go to the bank. That's related to the financing and tech piece of it. Things like that. Okay, so and biotech company closing a $1.8 million deal. So
biotech is interesting too. I mean, I do get quite a bit of that. I mean, there's a lot of scientists out there. The beauty of working with a lot of different businesses is you're dealing with C-suite people. Many of them have had several exits. So these are very brilliant people that have had several exits. And that's one of the things that even you, Lisa, can relate to is a lot of times, even when you're doing funding and there's not a lot out there, sometimes people will look at the management team. And if they see an extremely strong management team with several exits with lots of success, you'd be surprised with how much money someone's willing to give them.
Right. That's when they're willing to bring the money in.
Yeah.
And yes, and when I see the biotech piece, I have family in Canada that come from the farms. And one of my cousin's grandsons created a device that can measure the life or the health of the potato plant in the field instantly, instead of having to send it off to the
Wow.
labs. And they're introducing it in Chile and around the globe now. So that's
Oh my
Why did
God.
they pick
It's so
Why did they
interesting.
pick potatoes?
they grow potatoes for McDonald's and McCain up in Canada for the Canadian market. And he discovered or created this device to measure the health of the plants without having to send it to the lab for a week and miss a week of either proper fertilization or added ingredients to help the potatoes grow. Yep, so pretty cool.
I
So
love
I
this.
really
Really
see you.
fascinating stuff.
I love
Yeah.
this testimonial that somebody wrote for you. It says, "Why work with Vernier Adversary?" And if people get a chance to read this and find out that how much more you are than a consultant, but that you happen to be a transformer, they should read that. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know. Some of these might be a little bit older, but
This can't be old. This is ongoing. This is who you are.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do have a lot of testimonials, even just on my LinkedIn, and I know a lot of them just kind of got pulled over, so they're all there as well. Like here, some of the names are scratched off, for proprietary reasons,
Right.
but if you go on
Sure.
my LinkedIn, you can see who they are.
Ah, nice. So, in the world of equity fundraising, what are some common pitfalls or misconceptions that entrepreneurs often face? And how do you guide them to overcome those challenges effectively?
There's always a lot of misconceptions initially. Like I think you probably come across this as well. I think a lot of times when people come forward with something, they always feel like it's the one and only and no one else has that idea. But you may have seen 10 of them the same week. You can't
Yes.
really tell them that, but it's always my job to find something that's going to make it ignite or make it stand out or to be different, because it has to be different in order to capture the attention of an investor. That would be one pitfall, but there's many. Another one is really pitch decks, and I might have touched upon it briefly. People sometimes spend a lot of money on pitch decks and they are nice, but there's a structure that has to be made, especially for an investor deck. And it's the core element, and it can't be too long. It can't be too lengthy, because they're busy people and they're going to go through things really quickly. So you have to just try to capture the core stuff.
The
very
highlights.
quickly.
Yep.
And the same thing with, like, I'm surprised that so many people don't have financials, but you have to have financials because you need an exit strategy. And
Right.
some investors don't necessarily care who they're investing with, and they may be hands off, but they want to know how much money they're going to make, because it's, whether they're 1x, whether they're 2, 3, 4x in their amount of money, they want to know. So you have to do the exit strategies. So it's always sort of my job to kind of to pull them out of all of that stuff. But I think there's always different things for different people, but those would be probably the most common. is really just pitching it to make sure that what they do is very, very different. And as part of my structured pitch deck thing, like I have a whole list of stuff. I want to know who their competitors are. And I'm going to be doing my own market research anyway, but I need to know what's going to make them stand out amongst their competitors, because why would they choose them over the others?
Right.
So those are some of the misconceptions out there. They always feel like theirs is the only one, which makes me believe that they haven't really done a whole lot of research. But you always have to be careful with people, because you never want to insult them or tell them or be disrespectful by any means, way, shape, or form. It's just sometimes you just got to bring more of it out, and then it comes. And I always say everybody has different skill sets. Like, they're brilliant people, but
Right.
maybe they're not a writer, or maybe they don't know. And I didn't always know either, but you get better and better at it the more you do. And then you realize, and you hear the same questions over and over, so you fix it. So no one ever does it right the first time. And if you're a new entrepreneur and it's your first business venture, you're not going to know. It's expected.
Right.
So that's, why they hire you is to help you. And you want them to focus on being a CEO, not taking care of all this other stuff, because that should be the last of their worries. And sometimes you really have to let them know that, like, they need to start acting like a CEO. Some of the other things that I do see often is, again, some CEOs are really, really, and they're all brilliant, but some of them aren't as socially able, like they lack that confidence. Maybe they're just very
Right.
introverted, and they're never going to be good with the investor, no matter how much you try to boost up that confidence. So sometimes they're better off handing it off to another senior manager in the that's on their team.
What do you think of
And
these
I
fractional
do have to
CEOs?
tell them that. So
Mhm.
What do you think of these fractional CEOs that are out there now? Almost everywhere you turn, you got a fractional CFO, CEO,
and there's
controller.
fractional CMOs, everything.
Yeah.
You know what? For startup companies, they're perfect, because they don't have the time to pay somebody full time, and they work well. I think, of course, there's some that are better than others. I think sometimes people get confused on what a fractional CFO does. So it's really important that every fractional CFO, kind of tells them exactly what their areas of expertise are. But they're perfect for a startup company, because they pay them, but they can't really afford to pay a full-time salary.
You haven't
Or
met, have you met,
they have one, but the other one needs a little more help, so they'll hire a fractional.
have you met Lowell Mora yet?
No, I have not.
All right, I'm going to introduce you to him tomorrow.
Okay.
So if somebody needs to get in touch with you to work on their pitch deck or anything else, what's the best way to reach you?
It's definitely my phone number or my email, which I do have out here. But my phone number is 201-317-1228. USA, so it's a +1 if it's on WhatsApp, same number.
Okay, very good. And for those that are watching around the globe, WhatsApp works just fine for any number. Excellent. All right. And your passion for business, what drove you to it? What at 17 turned your mind that this is what you wanted to do forever?
So believe it or not, I when I was younger, I wanted to be a vet because I'm an animal lover. And then I thought about being an artist because I do love art. But I think what has even made me a little bit different, I loved art so much, but I was a fine artist, and my one sister is an artist. But I knew that it would be tough, and it was really my father that discouraged me. So I did take the business route since I was in the insurance industry. But artists always use their creative side, and it's that right brain. And so I think that's why I like what I do even more, because I still have that creative edge. I still have a passion for colors and pop and just a visionary thing of what people need. So that sometimes differentiates me on the business side. And never really to be a follower, be a leader, like you always speak your mind. For some reason, I just always think very differently from other people. And I still relate that very much to that creative side that I still have inside of me. I don't know. Maybe it's an excuse, but
it's a good
it's
thing
still
to
that
think.
creativeness that I like, and I think is important to have. So yeah, so I do like business. Business can be in so many different areas, so many different ways. I think, we especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to start a business, you got to find a way to make it work, and you got to keep at it. So business can be fabulous.
Do you have any seminars coming up?
I had one last week. I don't have anything in the near future.
About
But I
how,
do
how
do
often
quite a
do you do
few
them?
seminars, and I do fireside chats, and people will often hire me to do different things. I've done some very interesting ones. I did one on drones. I've done one on household analytics. I've done several seminars in the past, been on a couple TV shows in the past, but basically it was more on the insurance side or a specialized area of insurance, drones or something like that. But they're fun.
And you've been fun. You've done a great job tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the hour
Thank you.
the hour is gone.
Yeah, we flew
It's
by.
crazy how fast it goes. It's insane. But we thank you, Jackie,
Yeah.
for being here on the Business Awareness Hour, and we hope to have you back again. You stay right where you are, and before Lisa and I say goodnight to everybody.
Yes. Hold on.
Don't go
So
away.
Norman,
Thank you.
yep, you're very welcome. So Norman, what a show. Another one in the history books.
And what a guest.
Oh, fabulous guest.
You know.
Definitely. Can't wait to have her back again.
And tomorrow,
Thank you.
we'll-
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. All right.
tomorrow
So,
we'll be back here tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock again for another version of the Business Awareness Hour. And we thank everybody for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
The
Thank you.
Business Awareness Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is brought to you by Media Stations in Bohemia, New York. Create your own media